Welcome to Epic Begins with One Step Forward. I'm your host, Zander Sprague, and I am so delighted that you're joining me today. I wanted to start off with a thought of the day. Letting go of the why. We all have things in our life that we go, why did this happen? And, well, truth be told, it is really, you're never going to get that answer. A lot of the time, honestly, you're not going to get the answer. And a perfect example for me is when my older sister Lucy was murdered. Of course, I had that question of why did this happen? And I was struggling with that for months. But then I remember a moment of clarity on the Massachusetts Turnpike in Brighton, Mass, where it just came to me. I am not going to have this answer. So I let go of that why, and that let a huge weight off of me. So for the things that you have going on in your life that are perhaps confusing and you have the why, let it go. Because the why knowing why isn't necessarily going to improve your life, but it is going to hold you back from doing everything that you want to do. So ask yourself when you have those whys, do I really need to have this answer to move forward? Oftentimes you don't. I wanted to give you an update on one of my guests on the podcast, Dr. Matt Katz. As you remember, Dr. Katz had been struggling with cancer, and I'm happy to say that the treatment's been successful. He is doing well. He is back to teaching, and I am so delighted that he's doing well. I'm really, really excited today for this guest. My guest, Rossie Pope. Now, I have to be honest, she is my cousin, so little nepotism here, but that's okay. Rosie, welcome. Tell us who you are and what you're doing.
I'm Rossie Pope. I live in Marin County, but I'm born and raised in Panama, and I'm the president of the board of a nonprofit working in reforestation.
Awesome. So yes, you grew up in Panama. Mm-hmm. I'm interested, what was that like?
Wow, it was very beautiful. Panama is a tropical country in Central America. It is actually the one country that connects both North and South America. So we have both the Caribbean or the Atlantic Ocean, and then also on the other side, the Pacific. It's very mountainous in some areas, so the topography, like the environment, the ecology is stunning. Panamanians are super warm, really fun. So my childhood was super magical in Panama.
Absolutely. And there is also just, a little canal that, kind of connects everything and connects the world.
Yes.
So, there is that.
Yeah.
You've been living here in the United States for many years now, but obviously still have a deep connection to Panama.
Yes.
Let's talk a little about the work that you're doing for reforestation. I think that's really important. And, what is it? Why are you involved?
Sure. So reforestation is putting trees in the ground in areas that have in the past been deforested. The place where I work is called the Azuero Peninsula in Panama. The name of the organization is Pro Eco Azuero. The area was deforested by the Spaniards about 400 years ago, very similar to Marin County, to put in cattle ranching. So there's huge swaths of land that are devoted to cattle. And what we've seen in the recent couple of decades is that you expose all of that land as well as the animals to drought and conditions that are now being exacerbated by climate change. And one of the greatest remedies to that is reforestation. And so what we do is we work with farmers and all landowners of all kinds. And through donation, we're a 501c3, we're a nonprofit organization. We reforest their property, and we will build a fence around the saplings For about 5 years, the farmer has to keep the cattle off of the farm, off of where it's been reforested, until the saplings are big enough to live in harmony with the cattle.
Got it.
Which they reach that point, and then they have a reforested area, which brings in water. It helps with all the streams. It also brings shade to the cattle, and it improves the soil. Everything about reforestation is a benefit for both the landowner as well as the land itself. And then one other aspect to the work that we're doing is what's called biological corridor restoration. So that's absolutely critical, that animals have a place where they can pass through without being exposed, especially to cattle ranchers, which often will kill them. So if you could imagine something like a margay or an ocelot or a jaguar, for example, would need to have habitat to be able to migrate. And so we work specifically and deliberately on reforesting these corridors for animals, as well as keeping the forest intact. Because once you lose that connectivity, you actually start to lose biodiversity.
Absolutely. And I would imagine also that part of that, having the forest, it helps with migratory patterns for birds and other animals that are migrating between one area and another at different parts of the year. And obviously hundreds of years where those didn't exist, so reestablishing, that safe passage is really important.
Definitely.
And what kind of trees are you replanting? Are you doing what was originally there?
Yeah, so we plant native trees. It's really important to be able to mimic the forests that exist.
Sure.
Right now, I believe in our nurseries, we have about 83 species of native trees. A lot of the ones that we work with are fast growing. So you can see a forest recover in about 10 years.
Wow.
They're that fast growing. There is a bit of a sense of urgency right now. And so Panama has several different types of jungles. Azuero has something called a dry jungle, which is very different from the rainforest. And so another very famous part of Panama is called Darien, which is a huge rainforest, and they're going to have a totally different selection of trees.
Definitely. Yeah. And with those trees that grow fast, does that mean that you'll have to go back and replant? Because trees, my understanding of trees that grow fast, it's great, but they also, their whole life cycle is much shorter than, let's say, an oak tree, which could be hundreds of years and stuff.
It's a great question. So every year, we monitor consistently. The technology right now within reforestation is very, very data-driven, and it's getting more and more sophisticated because it's being driven by the carbon markets. And because obviously, trees are one of the biggest carbon sinks, other than like wetlands in the ocean and stuff like that. So we collect data on all of our trees, how they're doing, and then we replant every year if there's been a loss.
Got it.
And if it's a dramatic loss, for example, like a fire, we'll replant that year as well.
Got it.
But the last couple of years, we've had a really dramatic example of survival rate. So I think worldwide survival rate for trees in reforestation is in the 60 percentile. The last couple of years, Pro Eco Azuero has had in the 80s.
Oh, that's fabulous.
Yeah, we've been very excited about that. So
that's good. And has it been challenging to get the farmer or the ranchers to agree to allow you to for them not to use part of a field for 5 years so that you can reforest?
What I understand, because Pro Eco Azuero has been around for 15 years, and our role has really changed, and the way that we work in the community has allowed us to gain a lot of trust. Zander, our director, and her husband, he's the director of reforestation, and she's the overall executive director. They live and are raising their kids in Azuero. they're an incredible representation of working in integrity in the space. So honestly, the farmers seek us out because they need to find some solutions to how climate is really affecting their cows and their land. You can actually see, I mean, massive degradation. But if you run a drone over the places that we reforested, it's unbelievable. It's sort of like watching in real time this beautiful growth and living much more in harmony. I forgot the other part of the question about the trees and them growing quickly.
Yeah, well, I mean, they grow, trees that grow quickly tend to, again, are not a 300-year-old tree per se. They may be a 60-year-old tree or a 70-year-old tree, and then their life cycle is done, and they're,
But they continue to have little baby trees.
Of course they do.
Because they spawn.
Right.
So, yeah.
And what, in doing this reforestation, I'm guessing that there's some ranches that that they did 15 years ago. So now there's full on,
including the founders. Yeah.
Right.
So Edwina Von Gaal and Vern, who's still on our board, they bought a lot of property back in the day. Panama was a lot less expensive.
Sure.
It's gotten very popular, but they restored all of it, and so some of the footage that we have is directly above, and it's beautiful.
And you would never know that was ranch land per se.
You'd have to be kind of nerdy because there's primary forest and then there's secondary forest.
Got it.
But yes, you would never know that it had been totally deforested and cattle was run. And what's amazing about it is that Azuero's right on the ocean.
Yeah.
So you're reforesting all the way up to the ocean point. Right?
Oh, wow.
So it's very dramatic in that sense. So we're gaining back, those areas for migration and recovering the land.
Definitely. Now, do you know, Rosie, if with planting the trees, are there other regeneration of plants that are just coming naturally because now there's shade and
totally, yeah. So the undergrowth,
cool.
of course.
Yeah, the undergrowth, right.
Yep, and grasses. Also, animals bring all the seeds with them in their bodies. So mammals, birds, everybody, and insects are all there for pollination. So it's this very harmonious ecology that doesn't take that long to build back, actually. If you allow it to do its thing, we just help it along by bringing the trees. If you leave land, oftentimes it will also naturally regrow.
Funny thing about nature, if we leave it alone, it will actually go back. It will find its own,
regeneration,
symbiosis, and go. Hey, here's how I really want to be.
Yeah,
this is how I want to be.
Yeah,
that's cool. How often do you get back to Panama?
I'm there every 12 weeks.
Wow.
So I'm there a lot. Yeah, I have other projects that I'm involved in. This work with Pro Eco Azuero has inspired me to be in other spaces that are environmental, and I'm starting an educational platform having to do with the biological corridor of Panama, the entire country, sort of analyzing what the potential is there.
Sure.
Understanding it for my own self, because Panama is the most important country in the Western Hemisphere when it comes to migration, because it connects North and South America.
Definitely.
And we have areas that are fragmented, but like I said, with AI and with technology, which I'm very bullish behind, is that we can take maps and assess exactly how much it would cost to restore these fragmented parts of the jungle. So it would have to be a cooperative, a venture with the government, with individuals, and with NGOs, and then also my favorite, which is raising capital.
Yeah, we all love that.
Oh my gosh.
Gotta love going out, having to get the money, but that's cool. With the work you're doing with Azuero, is there government support for what you're all doing?
Yes, and much more so recently. A couple of years ago, they appointed Juan Carlos Navarro, who is a sort of legacy environmentalist in Panama and a politician. He has run for president a couple of times. So he's the Minister of the Environment.
Oh, that's great.
And he has a very, very ambitious agenda. And I think that Panama really wants to be seen as the leader in both blue and green carbon. So that's reforestation and that sort of wetlands and coral restoration and things like that. Because Panama considers itself to be carbon neutral. So we're entering this phase where the government is having to have strong relationships with NGOs that are doing, legitimate work, that are high integrity, that make impact, that are data driven, that are, fully immersed in the community. And Pro Eco Azuero is, I believe, to be the shining example of that. The last couple of years have been filled with Zander, our director, being recognized and getting a lot of awards. We have another huge announcement coming up on November 20th, which is confidential, so I can't talk about
That's
it.
Okay.
But it's, it's an international affair, so putting us on the map. And so, yeah, we feel very supported by the government, and actually Zander is going to the COP in Belém in Brazil as part of the delegation for negotiations for Panama next week.
Wow, that's really exciting.
Yeah.
That's really exciting.
Yeah.
So for the people watching who may not know, aside from the Panama Canal, can you share a little, since you grew up there, what should people know about Panama? Why should they go visit? I will be honest, I was there on a cruise ship. I went, I saw the Panama Canal. I took the train from one side to the other, but sadly, I don't know why I never came to visit you when you were growing up there.
You can come anytime. Panama, I mean, when you're from a place like that, you just love it, for so many reasons. It has a very, very rich history. My favorite thing about it is that it's very small, and that it has what's known as like a variety of bioregions. So, like I said earlier, topographically, Panama has, mountains, like places like Boquete where they grow coffee. It has a much cooler environment. It's sort of like Vermont. It gets kind of chilly at night. And then there's like beautiful islands. There's an archipelago. These places are really easy to get to. Azuero has like an amazing surf break. It's super good for families. And then the city's fun, great restaurants, and but it's also a very real place. A lot of times you can go to like a Tulum or a Bali or even places in Costa Rica that have been heavily gentrified. Yeah. Panama's a little bit in the tipping point because people are developing it very quickly. I mean, it's sort of controversial, but I'm sort of on the other side because I'm very protective of the environment. I'm very protective of the local economy thriving, and that often can interrupt, especially post-COVID. So many immigrants moved from Europe and Canada and the United States. Yeah. But what I like about Panama is that it's very real. It's a very strong, personality-driven place. People are super happy. I mean, they complain a lot, but they're super happy.
I get it. We all complain, especially like wherever we're living. There's stuff that we don't like, be it your city, your town, your state, your region, your country. You're like, oh my God, I can't believe this is going on. So I mean that's cool.
It's so beautiful, and there's so much to do. Kind of like whatever floats your boat, and you can do it in like within a week. You can see quite a bit, so it's great.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
So what are some of the other, you alluded to some other projects that you're working on in Panama. Do you want to share what a couple of those are?
Yeah, so I don't know if I can talk about one, but I can talk about it a little bit. So there's a national park called Cerroya in Panama that's in Azuero that is extremely unique. It has a cloud forest. Its geological history is very, very fascinating. It's this national park that's very beautiful, and I'm hoping to work in tandem with the government on putting a trail in so that we can have more access for researchers. We have a lot of biologists that come to study with us, and this is an area that is epic and in some ways untouched. We don't know the animals that are living in there, so we need to be setting up camera traps, stuff like that. Right,
like be able to do the survey to say
exactly
what animals are here, because obviously when you're talking about environmental preservation, you got to understand what flora and fauna you have going, because that dictates how you're taking care of it. Also perhaps finding out if there's an invasive species in there that where you're like, we don't know how this got here. However, be it a plant or let's say a predator that you're like, well, that predator shouldn't be there because it's going to wipe out, so much. It's kind of like in Florida in the Everglades, all the pythons and stuff. And,
right. That's where right. People let them go from their houses.
They let them go. And it has become a huge problem because there is no other, they're the apex predator down there, and they're wiping out obviously all the other animals, and there's no threat to them.
Exactly, yeah, so if you don't know what you have, how do you know what you're protecting?
Exactly.
It's a little bit like that. So that's one of the projects, and that's a little bit separate. I mean, I'm working with Pro Eco Azuero, but I've built out like a smaller, more intimate team.
Definitely.
Of old friends, which that just feels amazing career-wise to have like the ability to work with friends who are like-minded. So that's one, and then the other one is super brand new, called Panama Corridor Project, which is a bilingual educational platform. So we go into schools and we will teach a curriculum based on cartography, so why maps are super critical, how to use them, because I funded and commissioned a map of the entire country of Panama to show the biological corridor fragmentation. It's all digitized, had like printed out and distributed to governments, universities, all kinds of schools. So now I've built out the curriculum for high school students.
In Panama or the United States, or both?
In Panama.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think it would be a hard sell in the States.
I thought so, but I'm like, okay, I thought I would ask.
No, I mean, it's definitely for Panamanian students.
Definitely. Well, that is amazing.
There's a learning lab aspect to it where I just feel like that age group is so brilliant that you can throw them social issues or economic issues or environmental issues, and they will combine them in a group project and come up with real solutions. I mean, the amount of information they have at their fingertips now, the problem solving skills, how much everybody loves nature, and you've got to give kids this power to feel like, I can be an activist without being like angry.
Yeah, exactly.
You can just empower them to be like, hey, these are modern day issues that Panama's having, whatever it is. It could be like water issues or what, and just giving them the tools, environmental studies, but also cartography, and also a place to put your activist mentality.
Absolutely. And I think you're absolutely right. People hear activists and they think angry, right? And it's not. You're just becoming an advocate, passionate advocate for whatever it is that you believe in. Like I'm a passionate advocate for epic, you know, and people stepping into their epic and doing those things that they dream of doing. And I look at you, Rosie, and I'm like, look at you. Care so much about your country, want to help it. And you're not even living there full time.
Yeah.
But you just are like, I need to do something, and all these fabulous things. You're not angry about it. Far from it. You're just like, hey, this is really cool. Look at this.
Yeah. I think being solution oriented, sometimes you have to step back and reflect. You don't know always what's, you're not in control of a lot of things, but you can chip away at places where you feel like, it would be great here, let's try and do it. And you just stay with it. And that's what this all is. I mean, reforestation is challenging. People are like, people are not getting the return on investment in dollars. They're getting it in like a healthy earth. That sell is pretty hard. It's getting easier.
Yeah.
But at the same time, sometimes I see projects in my mind. I'm like, oh, I can envision this. Does anybody else want to do this with me? And then,
Totally. And you're right. I mean, environmental preservation, there isn't necessarily a dollar thing. What's interesting, with all the work you've done, I grew up with my parents doing some cool stuff.
Yeah.
One thing I don't know if you know, and I always love to share this, that in 1968, my dad authored the first Wetlands Preservation Act in the United States.
Amazing.
And we had solar panels in 1978 to heat the hot water in our house in Sherburne. And now environmentalism, has it's great how it's expanded. But I kind of grew up I was like, oh, I wasn't aware. But I grew up with that. Where it was like, oh yeah, that's just part of what we do. Mm-hmm. And so I think the work that you're doing is great to help Panama and help reestablish those migratory patterns and just generally help the whole country. Yeah. I think that's great.
Thank you.
So our time is almost up, but Rosie, tell me, can we go online and see like any kind of like the website that shows us, oh hey, here's what it used to look like, here's what it looks like now. Mm-hmm. What I don't know.
So Pro Eco Azuero has a website.
Okay.
And an amazing Instagram showing you all of the work that we do, because it's not just reforestation. We have a big educational component as well. We work in schools, so Instagram and our website, proecoazuero.org.
Okay. And can you just spell that out? Because you're saying it quickly and I'm like...
So if you say it in English, it's Pro Eco Azuero.
Azuero, okay.
PROECOAZUERO.
Okay, great. Making you work for it, Rosie.
Yeah. Yep.
That's great. Well, I want to thank you so much for joining me. So interesting. Thank you so much for the work you're doing for Panama.
Thank you.
And I want to remind everyone that if you're ready to begin your epic journey, go to epicbegins.com. And remember that epic choices lead to the epic life that you want.